Hello and welcome to the Scottish Roadscast, a podcast all about Scotland's roads, bridges and motorways, brought to you by the Scottish Roads Archive. I'm John Hassel.
And I'm Stuart Baird.
Hello Stuart, and once again we have a guest with us to talk about a very special topic. Duncan McKnight, you are here again. How are you?
I'm here again. Hello, John. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
You feeling up in the mood to discuss roads and things?
I'm always up in the mood to discuss roads. Stuart, how are you feeling?
Yes, all good. Eager to hear what Duncan has for us this time.
Yeah. What nonsense I'm going to talk now. So.
Not nonsense. What special project have
we
you
are
brought with us
doing
today?
the A90.
Oh, wow. Yes. Massive big road in Scotland. We've not spoken about this before in its entirety.
Mentioned it, but not
mentioned it.
Going into detail about it. And there's a lot of detail to go through.
Right, okay.
Lots of bits and pieces to talk about.
So are we getting a full route overview? Is it from Perth to Aberdeen, or is it from Edinburgh all the way up to Aberdeen? Or
You'll just have to wait and see.
Oh,
We just have to wait and see.
Oh, the anticipation.
You know?
Unscripted.
Yep.
Right, well, will we get straight into it then?
Let's get cracking.
Go on.
Right, okay, so first of all, we shout out thanks to Graham Yule and Ian Hill for sending over bits and pieces of the A90.
Thank you to
Graham.
them, yes.
So the A90 is around 140 miles long, and it runs from Edinburgh to the Forth Road Bridge, then it disappears for a bit, then it reappears at Perth and passes to Dundee, Forfar, Stonehaven, Aberdeen, and up to Fraserburgh when it ends. And it's one of the longer roads that we've got in Scotland, and it's one of the roads that's mostly dual carriageway.
Makes a change.
It is, yeah, I know. Stuart, you're liking this one already.
Yeah.
It's one of our longest continually dualed roads, which should be passed by the A9 when that gets done.
Yeah.
And it's got quite a long history, and it's only been extended up to Fraserburgh in the sort of 1990s, so it's not been around for too long.
It's one of these roads that's changed numbers quite a lot as well, so it might be a bit hard to follow at times because of that.
Yeah, so originally when the road numbering system was being set up, road planners were kind of unsure as to where to put the A9 number, and they wanted to really route the A9 over the Firth of Forth via Queensferry. But this would involve a ferry, and the single digit numbers 789 were meant to be 24-hour 365, not relying on ferries. So the A9 was put via Stirling, and the A90 was routed from Edinburgh to as far as Perth, and that was as far as it went in the olden days. Now it's all been kind of bypassed by the M90, which we'll talk about later on. Yeah. But the southern bit still exists, and it's still in use today. Okay. So it kicks off at the west end of Princess Street in Edinburgh, in the middle of Edinburgh. Okay. That's where the A90 starts. Just off
beginning.
Yeah, just off the A8, and it starts off as a sort of an urban route, single carriageway, S4 bits and pieces with bus lanes on it. So it's mostly constrained by the Edinburgh stuff. And the first big landmark, I suppose, on it, if you're in Edinburgh, is the Water of Leith Bridge, or the Dean Bridge. Are you aware of this? This very tall structure.
Very impressive bridge.
Very impressive. Thomas Telford, one of his great things, I think. It's a fantastic structure. Constructed around 1832, and it's still in use today as the A90. But this is known trunk. It doesn't become trunk until, was it the Scotstoun interchange?
Just shy of Scotstoun.
Just shy of the Forth Road Bridge, yeah. As we leave Edinburgh, it becomes kind of S4. So it's not dual, but it's kind of 2 lanes in each direction. This was done in the 60s by the Edinburgh Corporation.
So is this Queensferry Road?
Queensferry Road.
Break?
Yeah, so it takes the water of the Leith Road and it links up
past
with
the Barnton Junction.
Past the Barton Junction. Yeah. Does everyone remember the double roundabout?
Yes.
Yeah, my mother remembers it. She was terrified of it.
We were speaking about that on our Junctions podcast.
Yeah, it's now a complex of signals.
Yes.
Complex of signals.
But better.
But better than what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. At Crammond Brig is the start of the Forth Road Bridge approaches, and this is where the A90 kind of becomes dual carriageway. So it's the start.
It's modern kind of standard.
So this is the first bits of improvement. And these are actually some of the older improvements that were done along with the Forth Road Bridge. So this is the south and north approaches. So the south approaches were done by AM Carmichael.
That's right.
And the north approaches were done by Wattlings Limited. They also did the M90. Now, we're kind of skipping ahead of this bit because there's a big birthday coming up with the Forth Road Bridge next year. So we're going to be talking about that. Don't tell them. So we might be talking about that. We may or may not be talking about that. So we'll leave that.
We're going to be doing a podcast from the tower, aren't we?
Are we?
North Tower of the Forth Road Bridge, yes.
Hopefully it's not windy. So these all opened, as well as the Forth Road Bridge, on the 4th of September 1964. And these basically connected onto the M90, and for a time that was the A90. It was just the road over the Forth Road Bridge.
Yeah.
And now it's been, kind of
changed.
chopped up a wee bit, and the M90's been added in with Queensferry Crossing and all these improvements that have come along. So
on the south approaches,
Yes.
there's also some grade separated junctions.
there's
there.
big grade separated junctions.
There was one at was it Burnshot? The
Burnshot
bridge?
flyover, and then there's the Crammond Brig
Yeah.
one. That's the one that was. Is that the one that was replaced?
The
The replaced one.
Burnshot was replaced.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is non-trunk.
This
That
is non-trunk.
section-
This was all done by the council.
Yeah.
And also, big fan of this. This has got original asphalt on it.
It does.
The really red stuff that you see, the really uncomfortable stuff to drive
59-year-old.
on. That's original 1964 asphalt.
Yeah.
It was
Hot
laid
roller.
in very good conditions and
Mhm.
very skillfully done, and it still holds up. Well, it is a bit tired.
It
in
is getting a
areas,
bit tired, but it's
but-
still going.
Yeah.
Still going.
Okay.
There you go. So continuing on, the M90 takes over at the north of the Forth Road Bridge.
Mhm.
So we'll talk about the M90 another day.
And we have a page on
We
the
have a
M90.
page on the M90 that
Mhm.
I had a bit of involvement in, so I
A
hope
bit
you'll
of
all enjoy
involvement.
it.
You've done loads on
Yeah,
it.
I did a loads on
Selling
it.
himself short
Yeah.
here, Stuart.
We shout out to Ronnie Land who helped out with the M90 page, so please check that out. We're quite
Yeah.
pleased with it. But after the Frighton Bridge, the A90 reappears as
Mhm.
the dual carriageway from Perth to Dundee
So let's just get this straight. When it disappears
on
on
the motorway.
the motorway prior to the Queensferry crossing, it is nowhere else. It doesn't run
No.
parallel to the M90.
There was a policy, I believe, and Stuart might shout at me, but there was a policy when motorways were constructed. The old road was mostly either renumbered, just to say this is the main road and that's the back road.
Okay.
So it's B996, A912.
Yeah.
It's other roads.
I'm very surprised that the Edinburgh section hasn't been renumbered, given the long distance between. I mean, the same applies to the A8
Yeah.
because it's in 3 sections.
Yes.
But I'm surprised that the southern Edinburgh section, which is completely detached from the A90
Yeah.
otherwise, has not been renumbered.
89,000.
Especially after the Forth Road Bridge was bypassed by the
Yeah.
Queensferry Crossing. That would have been a good point to change it to A9000 all the
Yeah.
way down, or was it
Yeah.
B9000? I don't know.
A9000.
A9000.
A9000 over the Forth Road Bridge,
Yeah.
but it's still A90. So
Mhm.
yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it re-emerges at Perth and it continues to Dundee for about 20 miles as dual carriageway. Now this was originally numbered as
Mhm.
the A85.
That's right.
So the A85 is a road today that runs from Oban cross country across to Perth,
Mhm.
and then it kind of disappears for 20 miles, and then it reappears in Dundee. So I'm going to talk a bit more about the numbering of it later on.
Okay.
But this was the A85. Now there was an idea by the Perth and Dundee councils. Let's get this all dualed, and this decision was taken very early on in the late 20s to get all this upgraded to dual carriageways with cyclepaths on each side. These progressively disappear the closer you get to Perth as the more modern the road gets, but the older bits still got cyclepaths on them. So it was this. Let's get the road dualed. Same with Aberdeen to Stonehaven. That was again, let's get this upgraded.
Yeah.
There was a bit in the middle which will all come together later on with the information. So we'll go through the sections
Okay.
and see if you can spot the interesting thing about all these. Quite nerdy. So starting off, we've got the Frighton Bridge North approaches, and
Yes.
that was Perth Council and Freeman Fox. And these were done 1976, October 76, just before the bridge.
So they're
done.
responsible for that Barn Hill
The
arrangement.
fantastic barn.
Fantastic.
Free flowing, no signals, none of this nonsense. Let's get this all free flowing, lovely, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Do you not like the Barnhill interchange?
I like it from a perspective that you probably like it as well, but I have, being someone who uses it interchange quite a lot now, see strange behaviour that goes
Do
on
you?
in it, and I
Right.
think that people assume it's some kind of roundabout, but it's actually not a roundabout.
It's a strange roundabout.
It's a strange sort
Yeah.
of teardrop roundabout, but you're right. It does
is
have
quite
this kind of,
cool.
if you know how to use it, it has this lovely kind of free flow
Mhm.
situation with it. No,
Yeah.
I see the merits of it, but because it's atypical, as in it's unusual, I think it can catch a few people out.
Yeah.
So stay on your toes when you get to
Yeah,
Barn Hill.
I get you. Yeah,
Mhm.
we've got actually a couple of construction photos of it
Yeah.
with the Frighton Bridge Hess picture we've got. There's all these. We've got some colour ones as well, some black and white colour ones. They're
Yeah,
nice.
we've seen that.
They're
yeah.
really nice. Yeah. So carrying on from there, we've got. Oh, this was bought by Shell Bear Price Limited.
Shellabear Price.
Shell Bear Price. Are they? I don't think they're around anymore.
No, they
No.
no longer exist, but you
No.
do see their name a lot.
In the old days.
Yes.
In the old days. So from Kinfon's Farm to Intra. Is that right?
And Chira.
In China.
That's
China,
it.
all
Yeah.
these same names. This was completed in.
You'll keep you right, don't worry.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I've got friends in the archive.
Mm-hmm.
This was completed in January 1974, and this was built by Shelware Press again.
Okay.
And then from Minchira to Glendoick School, that was Shelware Press again, and that was the 19th of December 1972.
Oh, okay, so a
we're
bit
getting older.
earlier.
Yeah. So we've got some construction photos of this, which I think we've put a couple on socials.
You have indeed, yes.
Yeah, they look nice. All the old cars, all the dual carriageway.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Glendoick School to Inchmichael was William Briggs and Company Limited,
Mm-hmm.
and this was January 1970. And then from Inchmichael to Kingswell Long Forgan was William Briggs, and that was May 1965. So the road's getting older. Have you noticed that
So
the
it's
road's
getting
getting older
the
the closer we get to Dundee?
Right, so they were
Mhm.
kind of building it from the Dundee end, which makes sense given when the M90 came along a bit later.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay.
And then last two bits, Long Forgan Bypass. That was completed around 1950 in the summer. We don't have a contractor for this. And the last bit from Long Forgan to the old Invergowrie roundabout was around August 1939.
Right.
Now
Wow.
this might be I think it is the oldest section of dual carriageway that's still in use on the trunk road network.
Right,
What about
okay.
A74 I think was older, but that's
Uh-huh.
bypass now.
Yeah.
So this is now it doesn't look like it did in 1939, but
But still in use
it
today.
is. Yeah. You notice it's a bit narrow going up to the roundabout
Yeah.
there.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
What
that's,
was the section that you said we didn't have the contractor for?
so that's the Long Forgan bypass, and then that last bit to Invergowrie.
So if anybody out there has any idea,
Yeah.
get in touch, let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a bit of background of this. This was all kind of constructed, it was by the council, and it was a lot of at-grade junctions.
Yes.
Now in the 70s and 60s, that was fine. But as the 80s went on and the road got busier and the road got faster, as the 90s went on, it became pretty horrifying, some of the accidents
it was
that were going on.
notorious.
Yeah.
It was notorious.
And there was lots of campaigns about we need to do something with this. So numerous grade separated junctions were put in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think Long Forgan was the first one.
Right, okay.
And then we had the one near the Friarton Bridge. That was the last one, I think.
Kinfawns.
Kinfawns, that was
Yeah.
the latter one. And this basically allowed us to close all the gaps in the middle. So you can still see some of the old paint and things lying about. That's what they
Yeah.
are.
There's compact grade separated.
Compact
junctions.
grade separated junctions. I think there's one left, and it's for Middlebank Farm. So if
Right.
Middlebank Farm want a grade separated junction for themselves, then go ahead. But it's
Okay.
fine as it is, I think.
Yeah, it's a good. It's also a section of the A90 that doesn't have the average speed cameras.
It doesn't have the average speed cameras. It's
Justification, I don't know why it doesn't, but probably because of some of the reasons you've said, is that a lot of these junction improvements that came over
Yeah.
the years has improved its safety records, so that was a good
yeah.
thing.
I've always found it as I drive along, it's pretty reliable. It's pretty fast. You're not going to be delayed too much on it.
Can have tractors on it.
Can have tractors on it. It is all
Yeah.
purpose because it does. We're in the agricultural area, so we
There's a
do
heck
get
of a lot
tractors
of
turning onto
farms
the
on
road.
there. Mhm.
But personally, never found it too terrible. It's
Okay.
been all right.
Well,
Yeah.
Duncan gives it a good score, and so far so good. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So we then hit the Invergowrie roundabout, and this takes us on to the Kingsway at Dundee. Do we like the Kingsway?
No.
No.
I like the initial part. I like the initial part. So if we're talking about the western ends of it because of the grade separation,
Mhm.
yes, I do like that. That is
Yeah.
the Kingsway, isn't
That's
it?
the
So-
Kingsway, yeah.
Okay. Now, when I got to these sections, I mean, this was good. It was like somebody had a fantastic idea here. It was
Mhm.
like, right, well, grade separated dual carriageway, and then it all becomes a bit kind of old beyond that
Mhm.
and surface level
So-
streets. So I'm sure you're going to educate
So
us.
the Kingsway was opened in June 1926, and it ran from what we know is in Dundee as King's Cross Road to
Mhm.
Arbroath Road, which is the A92.
Yeah.
As a bit of a, let's get a little bit of a ring road going, let's do a bit of experimenting with the road building. So they built this you've got the big boulevard section, kind of like Great Western Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got the bits on the western end, they were added on later on. So I'll quickly,
Is that the grade separated bit?
yes.
Ah. Okay.
I'll quickly go through the section. So stage 1, Tayside Regional Council designed all of these, and this was built by Balfour Beatty, and this was completed in March 1980. Now this ran from Forfar Road, where it goes north,
Mm-hmm.
and it ran back down the Kingsway to Liff Road. So this includes the two big grade separated roundabouts.
Right.
And then the second bit was RJ MacLeod, and this was 1983. This was a small bit from Liff Road to Myrekirk Road.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last bit, which took it up to the roundabout, was Balfour Beatty, and this was June 1986. So that completed the dualling of the Kingsway. So we had basically dual carriageway all the way around now. So that takes us along there. When I went along the Kingsway, I quite liked the boulevard bit. It's quite nice. It does. I understand. It does have roundabouts on it because it's one of these. Let's just put a roundabout in.
It's let down by the sheer amount of development that has gone on both sides of it in the last few years. I mean, that retail park is huge, and the amount of traffic that generated for that alone is just. And that, of course, that all contributes to the reliability of the Kingsway being a bit,
I think when it was built, there was nothing north of Dundee. Now there's a lot north of Dundee.
But it has footbridges as well.
It does have lots of lovely footbridge. I think they were putting in with the works in the 80s to kind of upgrade it and modernise it a little bit.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
So there we go. So that takes us...
I have found... No, just opinions on it. The only thing that spoils it was the Forfar Road junction. I know that has been changed and improved. It used to be a kind of similar.
There's a double roundabout.
I think we forgot to mention that, and then the junction's one. Somebody pointed out. I'm like, how could I forget?
Yeah. It was a double roundabout. Now it's signals. I've only used it going up to Forfar, so I've just gone left.
Yeah.
I've never queued. I've seen the queues. I know it can be quite bad coming into Dundee, and there's a lot of conflict there, so I can see this being a bit of a hotspot.
Yeah.
Is that coming down past Morrison's?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Nightmare.
Yes. Okay. So, history lesson here. So, from Dundee to Stonehaven, you kind of there was a couple of options as the main road. Now, the main trunk road back in the 60s and 70s was the A92 that ran from Montrose to Arbroath along the coast.
Yep.
The other option was turning left up to Forfar and then along what was known as the A94 to Stonehaven, where you would then pick up the dual carriageway. And then your other option was basically turn left at Perth and go all the way up the A94. And now if you actually go along all of the A94 past Cooper Angus and Glams and all these places, it's pretty good. It's not
great
too
road.
bad. Yeah.
Brilliant road. I was on it just very recently.
It's good, not bad,
and
isn't it?
It was very impressive.
So yeah, they've improved all that because that was kind of, well, this could be the main road, so we're going to do some improvements along here. And throughout the 1970s, when we were looking at the A9 and the 82 and the motorway things, we were in discussion about what is the best road to improve. Now, there was no real option of upgrading the A94 anymore because the Frighton Bridge is there.
Yeah.
So everyone has to go to Dundee. So where do we go from Dundee? And I think there was a lot of discussions. I've actually done a bit of research recently. And in September 1977, in the newspapers, there was a couple of articles about this. And I think cost was a big thing. So in 1977, the cost of dualling the Forfar road, Forfar to Brechin and all these places, that road, that was around 15 million. And it was going to be around 21 million for the coastal road. I don't know how accurate those are, but that was cost, because the coastal road, it's a coastal road. You're going to have to maybe do a lot of engineering works along it.
Yeah. Now we should say that this project very quickly went up the agenda as the North Sea oil taps were turned on and oil started flowing into Aberdeen, and suddenly there was this real urgency of improving connections to the northeast from the central belt for various reasons. So I imagine that the commitment from government very quickly became supported across the political spectrum.
It's there was a lot of back and forth about what we're going to do with this, and in when was this here? July 1976, another newspaper article, Lord Kirkhill said there would be no dualling along the A94.
Right, which was the existing
road, so that was maybe more improvements. But it was decided in May 1979 by the incoming government that we're going to upgrade Perth for Aberdeen, and we're going to dual it all.
And of course, that was a huge base for the Conservatives at that time in North East Scotland. Still is to an extent. They still have MSPs and MPs from that part of the world. So I imagine that there had probably been some political pushing
to get it
done as
improved.
Well. So that makes sense. Yes.
And it basically just joins up the dual carriageway at Stonehaven to the Dundee bit. So it makes sense doing that. But it would have been, I always wonondered, what would it have been like if we dualed the coastal road?
Yeah, that would have been interesting, yeah. And you get an idea, don't you, up at the Stonehaven end where that section, when you come round from the coast road and onto what we now have as the A90, it kind of gives you a flavour of what that might have been like.
Would have been interesting. Yeah. But anyway, back to the present.
And by the way, just remind me, I was reading something recently on the A90. Was the A829, or was that the number of the road that used to go between Dundee and Forster?
Just about to get onto this.
All right, sorry. All right, I'm jumping the gun.
He's covered all bases.
We're getting there, don't worry. It's all
nothing gets past Duncan.
Yeah. So, before it became the A90, the original route numbers were the 85 from Perth to Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Kingsway was the 972.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then-
there's a bit of 972 left. I know that.
At
'cause
the
it's a
other
trunk
end.
road.
Yeah. And then as you turn left to cut, basically shortcut to Forfar,
Okay.
you have the A929, which goes up north.
Mm-hmm.
And then you basically join the A94, which has been renumbered.
Yeah.
And then you had the A92 from Stonehaven to Fraserburgh through Aberdeen.
Clear
Now-
as mud. I can see,
Yeah.
there's loads of different routes and different
If you look
numbers.
at the old maps, it's a bit more clearer to maybe the way
Yeah.
I'm describing it, but there was no single number. And I think when the last bit was completed in 1994, we said, right, let's just extend the A90.
Okay.
This sadly meant the loss of the M85 over the Friarton Bridge.
Yes, Scotland's lost no
Scotland
time.
lost one from 1978 to 1994. It was
M85.
M85 and then 90. No
Yeah.
more M85. That's always quite sad.
Oh.
But anyway,
Hmm.
we'll go through the upgrades north of here because this was quite a big project because the A9 was kind of finished after that. So we said
Mhm.
let's get all this duelled. So we'll go through the bits. So the first section is from Kingsway to Powrie Bray, and that was constructed by Torith Limited.
Have you heard of them, Stuart?
Turriff.
Torith.
Turriff Limited.
Yeah.
Turriff Limited, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Seen their name.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said something else. Okay.
So this was October 1988. So
Mhm.
again, we made the decision in 1979, and then bits were a bit late. And then now the first bit to be duelled was just north of there, which was Powrie Bray, and that was built by Wattlings. That's the bit that climbs up the hill away from Dundee and then flattens out into the agricultural area. That was opened on the 21st of July 1981. £4 million. That's probably the most challenging part to construct because there's a rock cutting on one side and then there's huge gabion baskets going up the hill, and then there's a big bridge over the summit as well. And then going north from there, we've got Teeling to Tarbrax, all these little place names. Sir Alexander Gibb were the designers of that, and this was built by Balfour Beatty. And this was completed on the 21st of July 1985.
Right.
So again, this bit's it's got
Another
some
good-
long sweeping curves on this bit.
It's another good section with some grade separator junctions, isn't it? It's got a
No,
couple.
not yet.
Does it not
Yeah,
have
this
any?
this is mostly at grade. The bit
Oh.
north, I think you're thinking
So
about.
this, okay, right. So
Yeah.
there's another contract
Yeah.
before four.
So the
John,
next,
you're getting ahead of
so-
yourself.
What did I say earlier?
So the next bit with some of the grade separated junctions is Tarbrax to Forfar, and this was a Babty, Shaw and Morton section, and this was Morrison's built this, and this was completed on the 31st of August 1993.
Wow, that's very recent.
So yeah, it's not too long ago.
Okay.
This again has got, as you said, the grade separated junctions, which they've
Mhm.
kind of cobbled together from the offline bits of the dual carriageway that they built.
Okay.
And it goes past what is currently AM Phillip Truck Tech,
Okay.
which deals with big vehicles. So they separated the carriageways quite wide to allow for space for left and right turns. So you've noticed you going up there, the carriageway split apart for space. I think that was done deliberately.
I have noticed that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think we've got a couple.
I
we've
didn't
got-
know why. But,
Yeah. For big vehicles, very big vehicles.
There you go.
Lorries towing lorries kind of thing.
I see. Okay.
We've got, I think, a booklet about that. Have we? We've got
Yes,
a booklet, something like
I
that?
think so.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much have a booklet on everything now.
Good.
and where we don't, we make one.
We make one up, yep.
Yep.
And this takes us up to Forfar Bypass. Again, we've got an opening booklet of this.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Forfar Bypass was done by the council, and it was built by Shanks and McEwen, and it was opened on the 10th of July 1987 and cost around 11 million. And what we know about this bit was also pretty horrific with safety, because it was, again, you've got two grade separated junctions there. These were all at grade. So you had the A94 and the A926. These were staggered crossroads, and you can just imagine these were pretty horrific.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of campaigns that reduced the speed limit after, I think, another nasty accident. And then these were grade separated in the early 2000s. I think
Yeah.
RJ McLeod might have put in there. There's an overbridge and then there's an underbridge.
Okay.
So there's vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And then this takes us on to the next bit. So the next bit is Parkford to Bannabrich, another of these foreign names. This was done by a consultant called J.A. Kirkpatrick and Partners. And this was built by Morrison's, and this was opened on the 19th of December 1990. Now, J.A. Kirkpatrick and Partners, do we know anything? Did they become...
The designer, did they become Kirkpatrick and Partners,
Partners,
that became
Carbro,
Carbro, that
yeah.
then became
something else?
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the
Yeah.
something else
But
was.
this is no relation to Scott Wilson.
No,
They're completely different, yeah.
This is Angus now we're in, isn't it? This
is the county of Angus. Yeah,
Angus. This is like proper
what?
Proper. You know those accents.
Tough people.
Yeah. Farmers.
Yes.
Yeah. Farmers. Yeah. Going on from there's then another early improvement, which is Banabreach to St Anne's Cottage. And this was Morrison's, and this was completed around July 82. So this is one of the earlier improvements.
So we're still south of Brechin.
And we are just about to go on to Brechin Bypass.
Hey!
Brechin Bypass. We all like the Brechin Bypass. Yep. So this was originally the A94, and Brechin was selected as one of the towns to be bypassed on the A94.
Okay.
So Tayside did the design for a single carriageway bypass, and Reed and Mallock were the contractors. And this single carriageway bypass was opened on the 17th of May, 1976.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then 3 years later, we decided, let's dual the whole thing. And this was obviously left to last.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it was made in such a way that
it was made. It's quite straight as well, so it wouldn't be too difficult. So the dueling took place. That was Fairhurst did the design, and it was Henry Boot Limited did that.
Yep.
And this was officially opened on the 30th of March, 1994. And this cost about £12.5 million.
Right.
That's not bad.
And we've got an opening booklet for this as well.
Yep.
Now, the main feature of this is the continuously reinforced concrete carriageway.
There it is, Stuart. I knew he was going to bring it up.
Yep. The patchwork quilt.
Yeah. So this was kind of done to save on maintenance, and it was a bit of an experiment as well. So Blue Circle Cement provided the concrete carriageway. It's recently been fixed, and there's a bit been skimmed off and resurfaced.
Yeah.
And
still there though.
It's still there. It's one of the last concrete roads we've got in Scotland. It's quite rare.
Yeah.
It is a bit uncomfortable.
My understanding is that it will all go eventually.
I
will all
possibly comment, but yeah.
The M90 at Kinross, that was concrete, but that was resurfaced because it didn't have any reinforcement in it. Well, it had little reinforcement.
You can still see it in some of the lay-bys I've noticed on that road,
But the Brechin bypass is reinforced, so if they skim down too much, they'll get to the steel.
The rebar.
Yeah.
So it's not just...
They'll just put an overlay on it.
That's probably what's going to happen, And then they'll just keep fixing it every 5 months.
It's structurally it might be okay. I mean, I can't say too much on it, but I mean, I know in that section I'd rather be in lane 2. Yeah, it's noisy on lane 1. Yeah, the repairs.
That's concrete for you.
Yeah, it was an experiment.
It was an experiment.
Yeah,
but there we go. So that's the Brechin bypass. We do like it. Anyway, carrying on, we've got the dueling of the section past Stracathro, and that was Morrison's construction and Russian Tompkins. These are a bit mysterious because there was 2 little bits joined together to make a big bit, and this was all done in late 1982.
Right.
So, and then we've got the Stracathro Junction, big bridge. This was Tayside Council, and it was built by Henry Boot again, and it was November 1990 when this was put in. So I think there's a big sort of truck services there. There's a lot of space for parking up.
That's right.
It's actually marked as a services on the Atlas.
Is it?
Yeah, it is, interestingly enough. Quite a lot of at-grade junctions there as well, and entrances and other things. I know that you're talking about.
Yeah. North of there, we've got the Northwater Bridge to Oty Hill section, a big, long, straight bit's this. This was Fairhurst and Miller Construction were the main designers, and this was 27th of August 1990 this was done. Now, I can flip over my page and tell you about the earlier improvement that took place, because it's 2 bridges next to each other at Northwater Bridge. One's the old one. I think the southbound is the original one, and the original one was opened in May 1972, and William Tawes constructed that one.
We've got some photos of that.
We've got the construction photos of this, and we've got the dueling photos as well. So it's quite funny. There's a nice big plaque on the southbound one as well. So if you're whizzing past, you can see the plaque on the southbound bridge. So they just built another bridge alongside it to duel it. Flip back over. And then we've got Lawrence Kirk Bypass, one of the next big bypasses that were built. This was Fairhurst and Partners, and Shanks and McEwen built this, and it was opened on the 25th of July 1985. Well, it opened about a month earlier, but contraflow. And this bit's got some issues, I think, particularly with the A937 staggered junction. There was a lot of incidents there, typical at-grade issues, people just misjudging it. It's now got a 50 mile an hour limit on it just to slow people down, which was enforced by GATSOs
No, it's all average speed.
It's all average speed cameras, so I think it's still enforced in some way.
It is, of that section there. No, we've used that, Stuart. We used Lawrence Kirk Junction.
Oh, we did.
But we
emerged from there.
We emerged from it and went across to see it. Yeah, it is, but it absolutely understandable about the speed limit. I do know there have been some plans for improving the junctions there at Lawrence Kirk.
So they're moving forward. Who knows? And then this takes us on to the next couple of improvements. So Scotstoun to Candy. I didn't know there was a place called Candy.
Candy.
Yeah.
There's a few candies in Scotland.
There's a few candies, yeah. Grampian Regional Council were the main designers of this, and Rush and Tompkins built this bit. And 10th of July 1985 this was owned. I always find this bit quite easy to drive because the big traffic's kind of gone, and you're just kind of driving along. It is quite nice. On a sunny day, it is nice to go along, and it is quite quiet. I've never found any problems with that. And then Candy to Stonehaven. That was Babty Shaw and Morton, and Morrison's Construction were involved with this. And this was opened on the 25th of July 1989.
Is that the bit with the bends? There's quite a bendy bit in there.
There's a couple of bits where the profile changes. So one bit goes higher up. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking of.
Because it goes round to the right, and then southbound rises up.
Yeah,
and northbound.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
that bit.
I remember going through there and weather being horrendous once. Yeah, that section. Yeah.
And this takes us on to Stonehaven Bypass.
Oh yes.
So this was quite.
So what can we learn about this?
So this was opened on the 19th of November 1984, and Fairclough were the main designer, were the main contractor, of this bit.
Well pronounced.
Yeah, we've got the construction photos of this as well. These are fantastic. I absolutely love these. It's got that big railway bridge across it. Is it I can't remember the name of it. It's got a funny name, but it has got that big sort of lattice girder structure across it. Yeah. Quite cool. Yep. And at the north of this, the A90 used to carry on up the coast, but now we have a large road project that opened a little while ago called the AWPR. Yeah. That bypasses Aberdeen.
Which stands for?
Aberdeen Western Peripheral Route.
You were trying to catch him out there. Failed miserably.
It's a polite name for bypass.
That's right. My head always still thinks, the A90 goes right up into Aberdeen. But
that's now the A92. That's not been renumbered.
Yeah. Still trunk.
Trunk.
It just stops being trunk prior to Charleston.
Does it?
Yeah, that's where it stops. So
interesting.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
There we go.
John surprised us again.
You did.
The second time.
Occasionally do. Yeah.
Write that down. Yeah. Right. So the AWPR. Stuart, what is the history of this? Do you know the history of this?
Well, we know that Aberdeen had proposals for a bypass as early as the 50s, the 60s, and it just took a very long time to get off the ground.
Yeah. So another one of these routes, it had sort of inner improvements in the relief roads. You got Anderson Drive, rings a bell.
Because Aberdeen does have an inner ring road.
It's got something that takes you away from the city centre.
Yeah, it's just that we ended up in a situation where there was so much strategic traffic going through the city that didn't need to
going
be
north or going to the A96.
Yeah. An outer bypass made perfect sense.
It made sense, yeah. So it did take a bit of time, but I think in the 90s or noughties we had a design.
Yep.
And then it fell into trouble, didn't it? It fell legal troubles or something.
There was
like
a tremendous kind of objection that came in. Now it was one of these cases where it wasn't the majority of people wanted this, but it was a particular landowner. Right. And I'm not going to credit him with his name on this, but I think that there was a big issue that he caused with it, and it actually held it up for several years. I think it was about 4 years, and he eventually moved away after this. Oh. But I believe eventually the work got started on it. Yeah. When did it open? It was about 20.
So it opened in kind of bits. So
it was a staggered opening.
So it was constructed by kind of three contractors put together. Yeah. So it was Balfour Beatty, it was Galliford Try, which is basically Morrison's, and it was a company called Carillion.
Yep.
Yes.
Who were formerly they were Tarmac. They did a lot of road stuff in Scotland. And then they became Carillion, and in the middle of this, I think they went into liquidation. Yeah. And that delayed things.
Went bust.
Yep.
Yes. I'm pretty sure it opened in 2017. I might be wrong.
So the first bit, which was basically the bit along the top.
Yeah.
From Black Dog to was it Goval? Something like that.
Yes.
That was opened in the 27th of June 2018.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a year out.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then the most of it, like the bit from Stonehaven up to the A96 and the Fast Link, that was December 2018.
Yeah.
And then there was issues with the Dawn Bridge, which is the bridge at
That's
Dice at the
right.
airport. And that was delayed it a bit more, but we finally got it open on the 19th of February 2019.
There you go. It's a
So
bit later than I thought.
Yeah.
It's all coming together now. I don't use the AWPR very much, but I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's got the Aberdeen bypass. What do we think?
What's the fast link?
So the fast link is...
Because I know there's a southern leg.
There's the
goes from
southern leg and the
Clean
fast...
Hill
Oh,
to
you're
Charleston.
confusing me with names.
Yeah.
There's a bit that goes from the roundabout in the sort of the middle
Yeah.
off
Clean Hill.
off to the east to Charleston, to the
Yeah.
south of Aberdeen. That's like a big link.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any junctions on it, I
No.
don't think. And then there's a section from Stonehaven straight up, basically, to
That's
the
bit I
roundabout.
use, Fast link. Yeah.
That's the fast link.
You know something about the fast link? You know they want us to build that as single carriageway.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. In the original designs, it was. There are some alternative. In the original designs, they have completely different things for the junctions. It's actually quite
Did they?
interesting if you can go and find this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's probably somewhere on Sabre. But it would have been the fast link until you got stuck behind something link. And they decided, of course, put the dual carriageway.
I think we have some of that in the archive now as well. Some of the recently acquired stuff has got some info on the
Oh,
development.
yes.
The
Yeah.
WPR
Yeah, we've got
is
some
interesting.
AWPR
All
stuff.
being scanned at the moment.
I think someone's got in touch lately who knows a lot about AWPR. So this could be, in fairness, Duncan, I know it's a recent road. We should
Mhm.
probably know more about it. But there is... but no, and it's no disrespect because I don't myself.
Yeah.
We could probably have a chat with somebody.
I think
and
we're
find
going to
out
have a
more.
wee podcast on that particular
That's
what I
topic.
think.
Yes.
That would be good.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's all very new.
Another wee fact I can chuck in. Do you remember the Brecon bypass with its concrete?
Yes.
This is also concrete. This is a CRCP design
What? Where?
on the road construction.
Oh.
The pavement is CRCP, but it's got a bit of asphalt on it.
Who
knew?
knew?
There
I
you
didn't
go.
know that. Duncan, you
I
pulled
think
it out
it
of the bag
was-
there, I've got
yeah.
to say.
It
Yeah.
was importing all the stuff for a flexible pavement,
Yeah.
where there's that. They actually had a lot of rock cutting that they had to do, so they said we'll just use it all and could build concrete. So they
Fantastic.
ticked
Have
the
you-
big.
Have you been on it lately? Is it looking all right?
It looks all right, yeah.
Oh,
It's very
okay.
quiet when I always use it. I don't know what it's like at peak, but it does work.
Fastlink's quiet, I
Mhm.
find, but it gets
Mhm.
busy as you get up towards the other junctions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
This big project also included Balmedy to Tipperty, which is another
Yes.
long-standing dualling improvement.
Commitment. Yep.
Yeah, I think we constructed the two bypasses at Balmedy and Tipperty, Balmedy and Ellen, and we were going to dual the middle bit, but then reorganisation in 1998-99 that pushed
Yeah.
it back a bit.
96.
96, sorry. Yeah, but in 99 they said we're going to refer this for further study.
Yeah.
But we got it in the end.
There was government changes in 97 anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, where some of these projects were cancelled. So how old are the original bypasses?
So the old ones, I've got the dates here. So the Balmedy bypass was Fairhurst,
Mhm.
and Tractor Shovels Taws constructed that, and that opened on the 13th of February 1989.
Okay.
So go north there, this is where the dual carriageway would end,
Right.
and then it would kick off again at Ellen, and that was the council, Grampian Council did this, and Balfour Beatty constructed it, and it was the 30th of June 1989. And then they said that Balmedy to Tipperty will follow shortly after.
It
And
didn't.
it didn't.
30 years later.
Yeah.
I remember reading about the Aberdeen bypass and the Balmedy to Tipperty. And it
Mhm.
was separate projects.
Yeah.
And they bundled it in.
Did it do it all in one go? Why not?
And they did. And now I believe that contract for all the maintenance there includes that section as well.
It does indeed.
It said on the signs of Aberdeen Roads Limited. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is a consortium.
Mhm.
Like Connect operate it,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep. So the dual carriageway comes to an end at Tipperty. And we go on to basically single carriageway that is mostly not being improved very much because it's less of a strategic road. It's more of a sort of a connecting road.
See,
north of here.
I used to think this, but Fraserburgh and Peterhead are particularly important to Scotland's fishing industry
Mhm.
and stuff like that
Yeah.
as well. There is quite a lot of goods vehicles that go up and down there. I know also just separately from the road, there's a big campaign to try and get the railway open back up there as well.
Oh, right.
But, yeah. I don't know much about it though, but I'm
Mhm.
sure you'll
I
have
mean,
found out something.
the route, the A90 kinks out to the east and it heads to Peterhead, and it has a short bypass there that I know nothing about. I found nothing about
The
this little,
Peterhead bypass.
little single carriageway bypass. I'm not entirely sure when it opened or
And
who
is that
built
still
it.
A90 as well?
That's still A90, yeah.
I've been on it. It's great.
hmm
I was up there recently. It's all pretty good.
And then it kinks back inland and ends in Fraserburgh, a little roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. But if you're just going straight up to Fraserburgh, you can cut the corners
Yeah.
at Tolla-Burness.
That's right. It's
You can go up
interesting,
basically the
yeah.
council road,
Mhm.
and it takes you back out onto the A90
Yeah.
north of there. And
I've
that,
seen that
yeah.
there.
and that's the A90, gentlemen.
Well,
Fascinating as always.
Yeah,
it is good, and
Yeah.
perhaps something like you say we could revisit in time for
Definitely.
the
Oh, yeah.
AWPR, and definitely a Forth Road Bridge A91 for the
Yes.
anniversary.
Mhm.
So we'll
Stay tuned.
We'll be revisiting this. Now, we should say we have created an A90 page on the
Yes.
website. So all this detailed route history that you've outlined in this episode
Mhm.
can be found online for anybody who wants to see a bit more detail. So it's the usual scottishroodsarchive.org/A90.
Mhm.
Go on there and have a look. You'll get that all on there.
Yeah.
Dates, booklets, who knows?
Yes, might even stick some booklets on.
Yeah,
People can
so-
have a look at as well.
I was up there with the drone, so I got some nice pictures and
Good.
things
Oh,
with it,
thanks
for
for
the social media and the
yes.
website.
I do quite like that very northeast tip up there. I think of Scotland where the A90 is up near Peterhead and Fraserburgh.
Mhm.
I know the weather's sometimes not the
The
best,
weather
but,
can be a bit funny, yeah.
but it's quite
It's an interesting landscape because
Yes, it
it's
is.
big hill. It's hills, but it's not big hills. It kind of
Mm.
it's funny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Duncan, thank you again for coming along and sharing all this fabulous research
Yeah.
that you've
I
done.
know it took you a bit of time, this one, so it is appreciated.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you for having me.
No, it's wonderful to get it all out there at last. So thank you for that. John, we should probably thank our sponsors at this point.
Absolutely. We'd like to thank Nigel and the team at Highway Barrier Solutions and Eastwood Excavations
Yep.
as well.
Andy and the team down there. So
Yep.
thank you very much to those guys for keeping us here.
Don't forget, by the way, you can leave us a review on this podcast if you're listening on Apple Music, but you can also listen on Spotify and on YouTube as well.
Yep, and Podbean, the other one. You'll get us where any of your podcasts are now. Actually, we're distributed across across everyone. So that's
if
good.
If you've got any questions about the A90, let us know. Any queries? Yeah.
I'm coming up with the podcast program for 2024, so if
Ooh.
anybody's got any suggestions on something you'd like us to cover, the topic, or something you just want to hear us all have a blether about, send in your suggestions. We'd be happy to do it.
Most definitely. In terms of social media, we are obviously posting regularly on there. Can I ask, please, everyone try and behave on social media? I'm sure
Yes,
people
please.
listening to the podcast probably behave already, but there have been some interesting interactions
Yes,
lately.
there have been, and I've
and-
spoken to Stuart about this, and he agrees he's going to be on his best behaviour.
So yes, we don't want to have to spend time deleting comments
Fixing
and
things,
blocking people. It's rather frustrating. So be sensible, please. Engage brain before typing. It's always helpful. No
Oh
comment.
dear, oh dear.
So I think we're all done for
I think
now.
we're all done. We're all A90'd out, to be honest. But it's always lovely to have you down here talking about these things. Duncan. We have to find another route for you to talk about now.
Oh, there's a few more. Oh, don't worry, there's a few more we could talk about.
No, that's fine. Okay.
So thank you, everyone. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.